All right, I hope this works this time. This is like my 5th time to try. So this is my Hoya Obovata, and it does have some splash in there, if you could see. So I would say it's an Obovata splash, but I feel like all the Obovatas that I've seen do have some good amount of splash. I think the ones that are categorized as splash is just heavier in the splash department. So I honestly don't really care either way. I just want her to flower. That's just what I'm waiting for. Also, I have been living a lie in regards to I thought I already had an Obovata. So because I thought I had an Obovata, I just kind of wanted to have an Obovata, if that makes any sense. It was actually mislabeled by the seller, and I remember asking the seller about it, and they told me that it was an Obovata, not an Australis, and they explained all that stuff, and it wasn't until like a few months ago where, I noticed that it really was not an Obovata, it really was an Australis. But you also have to understand that at a certain point in the previous year, I gave up on my Hoyas. The ones that survived. I just kind of didn't want to invest my time in them because when my Lacunosa died and the next morning after it arrived, I was very traumatized with that event. So I didn't really want to invest a lot of time in that. So I kind of went to a different species after that. So let's go ahead. And if you guys are curious, everything that I am using will be in the description section. So do check that out if you are curious, including my social media accounts, all of that in there as well. I am using my DIY or homemade pond, which is right there. There is no soil or any kind of other substrate or medium. There is no leca in there. There is no anything else aside from my homemade pond. If you want to know what it is linked down below. I have been asked what I have used, and I haven't had any kind of like video or recipe for that yet. So I'll keep that in mind. When I do have the time, maybe I can share with you guys what I do. So anyway, this is in a self-watering pot, and again, the substrate, the pot, everything that you do see will be in the description section. So if you're curious, you want to see what I got, more information, or you want to get it, you want to buy it, it's in the description section as usual. So just to clarify, these are 2 separate plants. This one I got, these 2 I got from different sources. This one is more current, and if you haven't, I do have the unboxing for both of them separately, so you can check that out. I will try as much as possible, and if you've missed them, just rewind the video. It should be on the top part of the video. I will try as much as possible to do it below in the description section, but usually I can put it on the top if I do forget in the description section. And so you can see what has happened since then. Not a lot has happened since then. There hasn't been a ton of growth. They're still acclimating this one. And of course, this had shock again because I had to transplant her and this one to merge 2 Obovatas in one self-watering pot. Because I just wanted to grow, get them to grow together and be fuller. This one supposedly is a peduncle. So far, she's doing okay, I think. I'm not really holding my breath on that because the source wasn't really that great about it. She was kind of a little defensive. I didn't know that this was the peduncle because when she sent me the picture, I just didn't know what I was looking at. So I thought this was what she was talking about. And I pleaded with her, and it was just, I don't know. I felt like she could have communicated a little bit better. But yeah, she just got a little defensive. I think like some people just need to communicate a little bit clearer. I know I was very, very clear. I was just like, please, I need your help. I need your help. Please help me. Please help me. I sent her a ton of pictures. At some point she did point it out, but it was just like one of those things like, I just need help. So anyway, this sits in a west-facing window on the darker days or darker weeks or months, time of the year. When it's really cloudy out, I will put on a plant LED light. And if it is very cloudy, because it's a west-facing windows typically in my area, or usually it is like 1 or 2 o'clock, that's when they get the direct sun. And up until where the northern light, where sunset is. In the morning, it will be just indirect light. So if it's cloudy all day, I will typically turn that on all day. So that'll be like 10, 12 hours, sometimes a little less. But if it is not cloudy in the afternoon where western light is usually gets, then I don't really turn that on. I water because this is in a self-watering pot, if you have this in a soil or a chunky mix or whatever mix you have that is not in pond, I cannot really help you in how to water. This is a self-watering pot in pond. So what I do, because this is not my first time to do self-watering or hydroponic or semi-hydro, what I do is I always wait till it goes in the minimum level. And after I get to the minimum level, I make sure that the rocks are dry, because if the top rocks are still wet, then I'm not going to water. I'm going to wait till that's dry. If it does look wet and my leaves are wrinkly, that is cause to caution in the fact that if it's still wet and it's wrinkly, that there's probably like rotting. It's very common for Hoyas to have dry rotting and then it becomes wet rotting, because Hoyas are always encouraged, or a lot of people always encourage Hoyas to not be watered very often. So I actually had to sadly experience that with my SPAF Burtney. It dry rotted. It never really wet rotted. It just dry rotted when I was checking to transplant her, because the leaves were all just slowly wrinkly dying, because they were not sucking up anything, because their roots were dead. So when I tried to transplant it in a self-watering pot, that was their main reason why I transplanted. I switched to self-watering in pond because of my SPF Burtney. And my SPF Burtney was in my homemade Hoya Chunky Mix, which is perlite, orchid bark, and cactus soil. Everywhere that I researched, supposedly that was the best, but I think she was severely underwatered with my care. I was just so worried that that was going to happen, because I was watering her, I would say, very frequently, and I guess she needed more watering. I was watering her probably once a week, and I guess she needed more than that because her leaves were always wrinkly. But she did come from like Florida, so maybe she just needed more. She just needed more, you know? I didn't know. And she was a huge plant, so I didn't know. So that was my fault. So because I was so scared and getting more Hoyas, I mean, I still want to get more Hoyas. I thought to just cut my losses and not have the heartache anymore, and just switch to self-watering and pond. The reason I switched to self-watering, I do have a ton of years of experience with it with my orchids. My orchids are always constantly either producing more buds or always blooming, and I really do believe it's due to the semi-hydro or self-watering pot system. That's the only way I know how to grow orchids, and they're always thriving. With this, I'm kind of hoping that my Hoyas are going to do the same, because they are epiphytic plants, which is the same kind of plant that an orchid is. In the wild, what they do is they climb on other trees, so they can't really be extremely wet, but they like the constant humidity or moisture, but not soggy. So it's a little tricky. So when you think about it, it's really, really tricky, because they love the constant moisture and humidity, but they cannot be sitting in water. And if you have these kind of plants, you know, as a house plant, it can be kind of challenging in that sense. So that's what happened to my Burtney. So anyway, again, I water her that way, and I love the system in which this type of pot, actually, you can take the tray out, and if you go over the max level, what you would do is I would just take the water from the reservoir out. You never want to go over, because that will overwater the plant. And I like the fact that this can add extra humidity in here, so it adds that bonus for the plant itself. I think that's it, guys. So if you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions, you want to talk about the Obovata or Obovata Splash, let me know down in the comment section below. I love hearing from you guys all the time. Thank you guys so much for the love and support. I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.